botanicals.com. So here's a number I want you to sit with for a second. Every 34 seconds, someone in the United States dies from a cardiovascular event. That's nearly 2,500 Americans every single day. That's the number one killer in the United States is heart disease, heart attacks. It's not cancer, it's not car accidents, it's not COVID, it's not heart, it's heart disease. Still, in 2025, the single biggest killer of Americans, men and women, and most racial and ethnic groups year after year after year. In 2024 alone, 683,037 Americans died from heart disease. To put that in perspective, that is more lives than number 2 and 3 causes of death combined. Cancer and unintentional injury don't even come close. And here is the part that should make us all stop and think. Up to 80% of those deaths are preventable. Not with a miracle drug, because that's what the doctors want to do is just give you drugs. Not with a surgery, but with what you eat, how you move, how you sleep, and how you manage that stress in your life. That is what functional nutrition is all about, is finding the root cause, digging into what you have going on and finding the root cause of your disease. So stick with me here. This episode could genuinely save your life or someone that you love. So let's start with the full picture because I think most people genuinely underestimate how serious this is. According to the CDC and the American Heart Association's most recent data, heart disease is the number one cause of death for men, women, and most racial and ethnic groups in America. Like I said earlier, 683,037 lives. That's up from 981,000 in 2023, meaning it is still trending the wrong way. Cardiovascular disease as a whole, including stroke and heart failure, killed over 941,000 Americans as of recently as 2022. Coronary artery disease, or CAD, CAD, the most common type, kills over 371,000 people per year. About 1 in every 20 adults. Over 20 already has cardiac disease, and many don't even know it. Heart failure affects approximately 6.17 million Americans today, and that number is projected to hit 11.4 million by 2050. This is sad. Please share this with anybody that you know, this podcast. The economic toll, over $168 billion in healthcare costs and medications between 2021 and 2022 alone. And you can do this with proper nutrition, just taking a walk and getting proper sleep, getting to bed earlier, getting proper sleep. Get off your phone, get out from watching TV. Get up and go for a walk. And here's what really concerns me is it's getting it's getting younger. So meaning younger and younger people are getting this disease. The proportion of younger patients aged 35 to 64 with heart failure has been increasing. Heart disease is no longer just a problem. It's a disease, that people in their 70s it's no longer a problem of people just in their 70s and 80s. High blood pressure. My father died at 54 from a massive heart attack, and that was his second heart attack. This is why I care so much about this. High blood pressure and obesity are the two risk factors exploding in the population. The American Heart Association warns that by 2050, hypertension and obesity could reach and affect more than 180 million US adults. Diabetes is on track to hit 80 million. That's not destiny. That's a wake-up call. Hello. Because those are lifestyle-driven conditions. And lifestyle driven conditions can be turned around with lifestyle driven solutions. Before we go further, let me make sure we're all on the same page about, what we're actually talking about. The term heart disease is a broad umbrella, right? It includes several conditions. But the big one, the one behind most heart attacks, is coronary artery disease. So let me walk you through what that looks like. This is how your heart works. So simply your heart is essentially it's a pump, right? A fist-sized muscle that beats about 100,000 times per day. It needs a constant supply of oxygen-rich blood to do that job. That blood is delivered through a network of vessels called coronary arteries. Coronary artery disease happens when those arteries get narrowed. They get clogged with a substance called plaque. Think of it like rust building up inside a water pipe. Over time that pipe narrows, right? It goes from like this big and then it narrows. The flow slows down and eventually something blocks it completely. The rust breaks apart, the plaque starts breaking apart, or it is, excuse me, I got the plaque is going to close the artery altogether. And when that happens in your heart, the muscle downstream starts to die. That is a heart attack. And so, what is plaque? Plaque is a buildup of cholesterol, inflammatory cells, calcium, and other substances on the inner wall of your arteries. It doesn't happen overnight. It builds up over years and even decades. And here's something critical to understand from a functional nutrition lens is plaque doesn't just silently accumulate on its own. It starts with damage, specifically damage to the inner lining of your artery walls called the endothelium. And what causes that damage? Inflammation, high blood sugar, oxidative stress, insulin resistance, all things that are deeply directly driven by what we eat and how we live. Let's talk about heart attack versus cardiac arrest so that you know the difference. People mix these up all the time. So let me clear it up. A heart attack is a plumbing problem. A blocked artery cuts off blood flow to part of the heart muscle. Sudden cardiac arrest is an electrical problem. The heart's electrical system malfunctions and the heart stops beating entirely with no warning. So, a heart attack can trigger cardiac arrest, but they are not the same thing. Both are emergencies, both require calling 911 immediately. One of the most dangerous things about heart disease is that it is often called the silent killer. Many people have no symptoms at all until something catastrophic happens. But there are warning signs, and knowing them for both men and women can literally save your life or the life of someone you love. So let's go through them. Here are the classic warning signs. More common in men is you get chest pain, you get pressure, you get tightness or squeezing or a fullness. Open in the center of your chest, lasting more than a few minutes, or that comes and goes. Or you get pain or discomfort radiating in one or both of your arms, maybe in your back or your neck or your jaw or your stomach. You get shortness of breath with or without chest discomfort. You get cold sweats, nausea, or feeling lightheaded. Now, the women's symptoms are often different and missed. And this is so important. Women often experience heart attacks very differently from men. And because of that, their symptoms get dismissed, sometimes even by doctors. They get neck, jaw, shoulder, upper back, or upper stomach pain without dramatic chest pain. They get unusual and extreme fatigue, sometimes weeks before a heart attack, that feels like the flu. They're extremely exhausted. They might feel like they're sick. They get shortness of breath. They get nausea or vomiting. They get night sweats, not related to menopause. They get lightheadedness or dizziness. Women are also more likely to have heart attacks while resting or even asleep. That's so dangerous. If you're asleep and you have a heart attack and you don't know about it, you're dead. Emotional stress can trigger symptoms too. And women are more likely to have blockages in smaller arteries, not just the main ones, which makes diagnosis harder. Other early warning signs to watch for is persistent bloating or a feeling of fullness. Surprisingly, this can be a sign of heart failure. Snoring or diagnosed sleep apnea. This is a major under-recognized cardiovascular risk factor. Heart palpitations, especially with dizziness, chest pressure, or fainting. Swollen feet or ankles can indicate the heart isn't pumping efficiently. So this is important. If you think you or someone near you is having a heart attack, call 911 immediately. Do not drive yourself to the hospital. Uh, time is a muscle. Every minute of delay means more heart tissue lost. Now, this is where conventional medicine and functional nutrition start to diverge, not in opposition, but in depth. Conventional medicine is excellent at crisis intervention. It saves lives in emergencies, but it has traditionally focused on managing risk factors. Lower your LDL cholesterol, take a blood pressure pill, control your blood sugar, rather than asking why. Why do you have high cholesterol? Why is your blood pressure elevated? Why is your blood sugar out of control? Functional nutrition asks why questions first. And when you follow the trail, you almost always end up in the same place. The root driver of most heart disease is chronic low grade inflammation. And that inflammation is largely driven by what you eat, how you move, how you sleep, how you handle stress. So, let me walk you through the main drivers that functional nutrition identifies. Chronic inflammation. Inflammation is your immune system's fire alarm. Short term, it's life saving. It helps you fight infections and heal wounds, but chronic low grade inflammation, the kind that smolders for years, is like leaving the fire alarm blaring 24/7. It damages the inner lining of your arteries, triggering plaque formation. And what lights that fire? Processed foods, your donuts, your ho-hos, your canned foods, your uh Doritos, your junk food, everything that comes in a package basically that's in the middle of the aisles in the grocery store, all that junk food, all the fast food, the McDonald's, the Burger King, the KFC, all that crap is processed foods, refined sugars, trans fats. You have a sedentary lifestyle, you're sitting in front of the TV. I can tell you, I hardly ever watch the TV. I'm constantly moving. No moss is gonna grow on me. That sedentary lifestyle causes serious problems, chronic stress, poor sleep, and environmental toxins are all major contributors. Insulin resistance and blood sugar dysregulation. This is one that doesn't get nearly enough attention in mainstream conversations about heart disease. Insulin resistance, where your cells stop listening to insulin signals, is a massive cardiovascular risk factor. Here's how it works. You eat sugar or refined carbs. You eat SpaghettiOs, or you eat donuts, or you eat Doritos, or you eat fried chicken, or you eat a cheeseburger from McDonald's or Burger King or Wendy's or wherever. Your blood sugar spikes. Your pancreas releases insulin to clear it. But if you're doing this constantly, which most Americans are, your cells start tuning out the insulin signal. Your pancreas has to produce more and more. Eventually, blood sugar stays elevated and you develop prediabetes or type 2 diabetes. High blood sugar directly damages blood vessel walls. It speeds up atherosclerosis. It raises blood pressure. It promotes inflammation. A 2014 study published in JAMA Internal Medicine found that consuming large amounts of added sugar significantly increased the risk of dying from heart disease, even in people who weren't overweight. The sugar problem, speaking of sugar, let's talk about it specifically because this is where a lot of people are surprised. We spent decades blaming dietary fat for heart disease, but more and more research is pointing the finger at added sugars and ultra processed foods. High sugar diets raise blood pressure, triglycerides, LDL, bad cholesterol. Think ketchup and barbecue sauce and all these sauces that you buy. You go to Burger King, you get ketchup with your fries, or McDonald's, you get ketchup with your fries, or you get some kind of sauce with your onion rings, or you get whatever. It is filled with high fructose corn syrup. This is what's filling your heart with plaque. They lower your HDL, your good cholesterol. They promote liver fat accumulation, a condition called non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, which is a major cardiovascular risk. Regular intake of sugar-sweetened beverages has been independently associated with higher rates of cardiovascular death. You're drinking those sodas all the time. I mean, even if you're a teenager, if you're starting it as a teenager and you're getting all kinds of acne, that is telling you stop drinking those sugary drinks and those high energy drinks. Stop it. That is going to lead you to a heart attack later in life. You have a lot of protection in your body when you're in your 20s, a lot. But in your 30s, it declines. In your 40s, it really declines. In your 50s, forget it. You have got to stop drinking the Dr. Pepper and the Coca-Cola and the highly processed foods that are filled with sugar. And then you keep it in plastic, right? You put it in the fridge in plastic. Maybe you're heating it up in plastic. Oh my God. I don't know how many times I've told people, stop with the plastic. Stop microwaving in plastic. Stop eating your food out of plastic. Every time you scrape that plastic, that goes into your body, that goes into your heart. Stop it. Get rid of it. Invest in glass. Don't drink out of plastic water bottles. That is terrible. Get a reusable bottle. Clean your bottle on a regular basis. Put in your water in that. Get it out of your tap, put a little filter on it. One more thing on sugar. It wrecks your sleep. High sugar intake is associated with lighter, more fragmented sleep. And disrupted sleep, that independently raises your risk of heart attack. So it's a vicious cycle. Sugar disrupts sleep. Poor sleep drives, more sugar cravings, and both drive heart disease. So I want to talk about the ultra processed food connection. Research consistently links ultra processed foods, think fast food, packaged snacks, sugary drinks, processed meats, think lunch meats, salami, bologna, turkey, ham. They put it in this big vat, this a huge vat, probably as big as my office, which is not very big, but it's a huge vat, and they just churn this stuff up, and they add some sugar, and they add some salt, and they add some fat, and they add oils, and they add all kinds of crap in there. And you think it's just sliced meat. No, it's not just sliced meat. It is a churning of organs and all kinds of crap. So these processed meats with higher rates of cardiovascular disease and death, and these foods are engineered to be hyper palatable. They have scientists literally that drive overconsumption. They're stripped of the nutrients and they promote inflammation at every turn. Oxidative stress. Your body constantly produces free radicals, unstable molecules that can damage cells and blood vessels. Antioxidants found in fruits, vegetables, and whole foods neutralize them. When the balance tips toward too many free radicals and not enough antioxidants, you get oxidative stress. This directly damages the heart and blood vessels. It accelerates plaque formation and impairs heart function. Hypertension. This is the silent damage that's happening. High blood pressure is often called the silent killer within the already silent world of heart disease. Most people feel nothing, but high blood pressure is constantly stressing and damaging your artery walls. I talked about last week also about high blood pressure causing strokes, making your arteries more prone to plaque buildup. And it puts enormous strain on the heart itself and your brain. Chronic stress and the cortisol connection. This is people have so much stress and they worry all the time. This is going to cause problems. Chronic physiological stress isn't just bad for your mental health, it is a direct cardiovascular risk. So, when you're stressed, your body pumps out cortisol and adrenaline. Your blood pressure rises, your arteries tighten, your pro inflammatory molecules flood your system. Stress also affects women more severely than men when it comes to heart disease. Depression and emotional stress are significant, often under-recognized risk factors, particularly for coronary microvascular disease, which is most common in women. And when you're asleep, this is the underrated heart protector. Multiple large studies have found that both too little sleep, under 6 hours, and too much sleep, over 8 hours, raise your risk of metabolic syndrome, obesity, and high blood pressure. People with insomnia have been found to have up to 69% higher risk of heart attack compared to those without it. And there's even research showing that the transition to daylight savings time, just that 1 hour of sleep disruption, is associated with a measurable uptick in heart attacks in the days following that shift. That is how sensitive your cardiovascular system is to sleep quality. Before I got into the solutions, and I promise there are a lot of them, I want to take a quick moment to share something that is very close to my heart. Literally everything I talk about on this podcast, the food is medicine approach, the root cause thinking, the personalized nutrition, that is exactly what I do every day with my clients at Larson Nutrition. I work one on one with people who are tired of being told to just take another pill. And what are you, and who are you ready to actually understand what their body needs to heal? If that sounds like you, if today's episode is hitting close to home and you want a real plan to build around your labs, your lifestyle, and your goals, I would love to work with you. Head over to larsonnutrition.com to learn about my personalized programs and one-on-one functional nutrition coaching. I also offer hormone supporting meal plans because, as we've talked about today, your metabolic health and your heart health are deeply connected. And over at larsonbotanicals.com, you will find products I have personally curated to support your health journey, things I actually use and recommend in my own practice. From targeted botanicals to support your daily wellness routine, there is something there for wherever you are in your health journey. Links to both are in the show notes. Larson Botanicals is under construction right now, so it's not up. All right, now let us get into the good stuff, the part where I tell you what you can actually do about all this. Okay, we've been through the scary part. Now let's talk about hope for lives. The research is unambiguous. The vast majority of heart disease is preventable. The vast majority, like talking 90%. Even if it's genetic and you're like, my father died of a heart attack at 54 and I am 58 and I do not have heart disease. And even if you already have risk factors or a family history, you have far more control than you may have been led to believe. The American Heart Association has a framework called Life's Essential 8, and they cover the pillars that functional nutrition also identifies as foundational. So let me walk you through them. 1, eat to heal inflammation, not create it. The single most powerful thing most people can do for their heart is change what they eat. Specifically, eliminate all dramatically reduced added sugar, refined carbohydrates, and ultra processed foods. Load up on colorful fruits and vegetables rich in antioxidants that fight the oxidative stress driving arterial damage. I broke my sugar cravings by having unsweetened, unflavored Greek, plain organic Greek yogurt. I get it at Aldi. That I put in organic berries or whatever berries you have. Those are low sugar. And then I put in a little protein mix to have a little extra added protein. I put in half an avocado for a healthy fat. Your brain is mostly made of fat, and you need that fat. Eat fatty fish, salmon, sardines, mackerel. I never liked sardines when I was a kid. I was like, ugh, they're too fishy. I tell you what, I put on a little ancho chili seasoning. I put in some lemon juice. I extra virgin olive oil. They are delicious. Oh my God, they are so good. I don't even taste fishiness at all. But you just got to buy the right kind. Don't buy it in water, packed in water. Buy it packed in um, extra virgin olive oil or olive oil. And salmon is so good if you buy it fresh. A lot of people have had it where it was someplace else and it wasn't fresh and it was fishy. If you buy it fresh and cook it right away, oh my God, it is so good. Have this 2 to 3 times a week per week for the omega-3 fatty acids. Omega-3s reduce triglycerides, lower blood pressure, reduce inflammation, and have been shown to significantly reduce cardiac death in people with known heart disease. So you can also get a really good Swanson makes a really good omega-3. You can find it on Amazon or wherever you shop. Swanson is the brand, and they have omega-3s in an oil that you keep in the fridge, or they have little pills. I still recommend that you keep it in the fridge, but set an alarm on your phone or wherever you have alarms. Remind yourself to take it every day. Choose a Mediterranean style eating pattern. Research links it to reduced inflammation, better HDL cholesterol, survival rates in people with existing heart disease. Think about like eating nuts and seeds and leafy greens rich in magnesium, which acts as, what some researchers call nature's calcium channel blocker, helping blood vessels relax. Cut those sugary drinks entirely. Regular consumption is independently associated with cardiovascular death. So let's talk about omega-3s a little bit more. Omega-3 fatty acids deserve their own spotlight. I mean, these help my eyes, they help my inflammation in my own body. It's amazing. The research on them and heart health is significant. A major clinical trial called Reduce It looked at 8,000 high-risk patients and found that high-dose omega-3 supplementation reduced major cardiovascular events, including heart attack and stroke, by 25% over a 5-year period. Earlier research found a 28% reduction in heart attack risk with omega-3 supplementation in the general study population, and a 40% reduction in people with low fish intake at baseline. Now, omega-3s lower triglycerides, they reduce arrhythmia risk, they reduce inflammation, and they support overall vascular function. If you don't eat fatty fish regularly, supplementation is worth discussing with your healthcare provider, or just go online and find Swanson and get your omega-3s. It's a high quality omega-3 that is really good for your system. And magnesium. This is the mineral most people are deficient in. Low magnesium levels are associated with high blood pressure, arterial calcification, hardening of the arteries, and increased cholesterol. Modern diets are chronically low in magnesium because we eat processed foods stripped of it. Magnesium is found in almonds, dark leafy greens, avocados, pumpkin seeds, and dark chocolate. Dark chocolate is 70% or greater. I eat a 90% dark cocoa. And then in my coffee in the morning, I have a scoop of it's 100% cocoa. It's delicious. So, but I put a collagen in there as well, and that has a little bit of a sweetener in it. Monk fruit extract. Supplementation in forms like magnesium glycinate or citrate can be useful for people with cardiovascular stress or poor sleep, but always talk to your provider, especially if you have kidney issues. Move your body consistently. Physical inactivity is a major independent risk factor for heart disease. Research shows that about 75% of Americans don't meet even the minimum exercise recommendation. But the good news is you don't need to run marathons. 30 minutes of moderate aerobic exercise, brisk walking, or just 10 minutes after every meal on most days of the week significantly reduces heart attack and stroke risk. Resistance training matters too. Do some planks, do some push-ups, do it from your knees. Do some side planks, do some jumping jacks. Reducing sedentary time throughout the day matters. Independently, even for people who exercise. And you got to manage the stress. It's not an option. Do deep breathing. Do meditation. Chronic stress is not just an emotional problem, it is a biological one. Stress management is cardiovascular medicine. Research backed approaches include regular physical activity, mindfulness meditation, deep breathing practices, maintaining social connections, get out there with your friends, stop the alcohol, and adequate downtime. These aren't luxuries for many people or medicine. I tell you what, I just love a club soda with some lime juice or some pomegranate juice, or even just pomegranate juice with some water and some ice. I'll put it in a martini glass or I'll put it in a wine glass. It makes me feel like I'm festive and I'm having fun with everybody, but I don't need the alcohol. I can tell you I drank a lot in my 20s and I can't do it anymore. It is so bad for your brain. It is so bad for your heart. And knowing that my father died at 54 of a heart attack, I do not want to abuse my body. And prioritize 7 to 9 hours or 7 to 8 hours of sleep. If you were sleeping 5 hours a night and wondering why your blood pressure is high, why you're always craving sugar, why you can't lose the weight, a lack of sleep may be driving all of that. The cardiovascular research on sleep is among the most compelling in modern medicine. Aim for 7 to 8 hours. Address sleep apnea if you snore. It's a major underdiagnosed cardiovascular risk. Create a dark, cool, consistent sleep environment. Limit screens before bed. And know your numbers. You can't manage what you don't measure. Work with your healthcare provider to know and track your blood pressure. Aim for under 120/80. Know your fasting blood sugar and your HbA1c to catch insulin resistance early. Do a full lipid panel, including triglycerides and HDL, not just total cholesterol. Look at your LDL. Look at your LDL. Is it large? Is it small? Is your HDL large and fluffy, or is it small? Look at your C-reactive protein, your CRP. It's a marker of inflammation. Like my LDL cholesterol is high, but it's the big fluffy LDL, which is fine. And the small LDL is low. My HDL fluffy is high. My little HDL is low. So your C-reactive protein, your CRP, is a marker of inflammation. Your fasting insulin, rarely tested, but highly revealing for insulin resistance. And what's your waist circumference? Do you have visceral fat around the belly? That's a major independent risk. Vitamin D levels deficiency is associated with increased cardiovascular risk. Don't smoke and limit your alcohol. Smoking is a greater cardiovascular risk factor for women than for men. Just 1 year after quitting, your risk of coronary heart disease drops by 50%. That's remarkable. Alcohol, even at moderate levels, raises blood pressure and increases risk. There is no amount of alcohol that is proven to be beneficial for cardiovascular health in the current evidence base, or even for your brain or for your body in any way. Alcohol provides no nutrition whatsoever. It provides nothing healthy for your body. It doesn't even help you relax. That is bullshit marketing from the alcohol companies. It does not do anything for you but cause more stress. I want to take a moment to talk about something that the data makes very clear, but that doesn't always get enough airtime. Heart disease does not affect everyone equally. According to the most recent data, Black Americans have the highest overall age adjusted death rates from heart disease and heart failure. American Indian and Alaska Native populations are also disproportionately affected. The gap between racial groups has actually been widening over the past decade, particularly for Black individuals under 65. These disparities are driven by a complex mix of structural factors, unequal access to healthcare, food deserts, higher rates of chronic stress related to systemic inequality, and underdiagnosis and undertreatment. Functional nutrition principles should be accessible to everyone, and talking about these inequalities is part of that conversation. So let me wrap up with what I call the functional nutrition heart reset. 5 things you can start this week, not someday. Start it this week, today, start it tomorrow, but not next week. Well, Sunday's next week. Here's 5 things that you can move the needle with. Cut one source of added sugar from your daily routine. Maybe it's a soda, maybe it's a sweetened coffee. Like those coffee mates, those are garbage. Don't use coffee mate. That is garbage. A packaged snack, a donut, a Doritos. Cut one thing. Start there. Add one anti-inflammatory food to a meal each day. Maybe it's a handful of walnuts, it's a cup of blueberries, maybe it's salmon for dinner or for breakfast with some eggs, or a cup or two of leafy greens. Walk for 30 minutes or for 10 minutes after each meal. Today, not tomorrow, today. It doesn't need to be a gym, it just needs to happen. Just strap on your shoes and go for a walk. Take the dog for a walk. Go walk around in your house. But get outside. It's so much better for you to get outside and breathe fresh air. Schedule a visit with your doctor and ask specifically for your fasting insulin, your CRP, and your full lipid panel, not just cholesterol. Look at your LDL and HDL. Look at the size of your HDL and LDL. Go to bed 30 minutes earlier than you did last night. Do it again tomorrow. Your heart will thank you. Heart disease didn't develop in you overnight, and it won't reverse overnight either. But the trajectory changes with every meal, every walk, every night of good sleep. And that is the power of functional nutrition. It gives you back control. I want to come back to something personal for a second. Heart disease runs in families. It runs in my family. And I got into functional nutrition coaching because I knew there had to be a better way than waiting for something to go wrong and then reacting. I had high blood pressure, high triglycerides, I was pre-diabetic, and I had arthritis. And the doctor wanted to, of course, put me on all this medication. I said, no, I'm going to find out why this is happening. And I knew I was eating highly processed foods. I wasn't working out. It was all during COVID. So the gyms were closed. I lived on the 41st floor of a high rise. I didn't want to go down the elevator with a bunch of other people. I was afraid, there's a lot of misinformation out there. I was wearing a mask. Finally I had to change it. I got online and I started exercising with online courses. I changed my diet. I started eating healthy. I didn't want to wait for something to go wrong. I wanted to be proactive. I wanted to understand my body and I wanted to help other people do the same. That is the whole heart of what I do at Larson Nutrition. If you have been listening today and thinking, I need help with this, I don't know where to start. My doctor gives me 10 minutes and sends me home with a prescription. Please reach out. Go to larsonnutrition.com. I offer one-on-one functional nutrition coaching, personalized programs, and hormone supportive meal plans designed, to get to the root of what is going on in your body. I actually have a protein challenge coming up starting April 20th. This protein challenge is going to be amazing. It's only $19.99 for you're going to get tons of information with this protein challenge. You're going to get all kinds of documents, about how to measure your body, how much protein do you need, how much protein should you get. There's 90 recipes of all easy to make protein dishes. Breakfast, 30 for breakfast, 30 for lunch, 30 for dinner. Some of them are sweet, some of them are savory. Depending on what you like, you can pick and choose whatever you like. And if you are ready already eating well and you want to add some extra targeted support to your routine, visit larsonbotanicals.com. I created that line because I wanted high quality, thoughtfully formulated products I could stand behind and actually recommend to the people I care about most, my clients, my family, and you, my listeners. If today's episode gave you something, a new perspective, a number that surprised you, uh, a commitment to get your labs checked, I want to hear about it. Share it with me. Tag us. Send it to someone you love who needs to hear this. And subscribe to my channel so that you can get more of this great information. Heart disease is still our number one killer, but it does not have to be yours. You can listen to the Larson Health Podcast on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, iHeartRadio, Deezer, and anywhere you like to watch or listen to your favorite podcasts. You can watch full episodes on YouTube and snippets on social media like LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok, where I also share behind the scenes clips, recipes, and bonus insights from my coaching practice. And if you're ready to take your health to the next level, visit larsonnutrition.com and larsonbotanicals.com to learn about my personalized programs, hormone supportive meal plans and products, and one-on-one nutritional coaching. Thank you so much for joining me today.